The Kang is one of those punishments that looks simple at first glance, a wooden board with a hole for the neck, yet it was designed to humiliate, immobilise, and slowly grind a person down. Used for centuries in parts of East and Southeast Asia, the Kang combined physical discomfort with public shaming. In this video we explain what a Kang was, how it was made and fitted, how it produced suffering, the social logic behind it, and why it was such an effective and brutal form of punishment. At its most basic, a Kang is a heavy, flat wooden collar. The board is square or circular, with a central hole sized so that the wearer's neck can pass through, but cannot withdraw. Once fitted, the board rests on the wearer's shoulders, their chin and sometimes their chest press against the lower surface, while the rim rests just above the shoulders. The weight keeps the collar in place and prevents normal movement of the head and arms. Some Kangs were relatively light and intended mainly for public humiliation. Others were deliberately heavy, sometimes several kilograms, to cause pain and to make movement exhausting. Construction varied. Simple Kangs were a single piece of timber with a large central aperture. More elaborate ones had two halves bolted or pegged together around the neck. Many were carved with inscriptions, the wearer's crime, the name of the offender, or a scolding message intended to heighten the shame. In some cases, officials would attach a written placard describing the offence. In other instances, the Kang itself was stamped or inscribed. Holes or iron rings were often added so that the wearer could be chained to a post, to a public square, or to another prisoner, making escape impossible and turning the person into a literal signboard of wrongdoing. Now, how did the Kang function as torture? The answer is severalfold: physical restraint, pain from weight and friction, deprivation, and the cruelty of public exposure. Physically, the collar immobilised the head and arms. Simple tasks like eating, drinking, scratching an itch, even lying down, became awkward or impossible without assistance. The weight pressed into the shoulder and the upper back, producing muscle fatigue and pain. Chafing and sores developed quickly where wood rubbed the skin. If the collar was not padded, pressure points could ulcerate. The design also altered posture. With the chin forced forward or down, breathing could become laboured, especially with weaker people. Long-term wear could lead to the neck and shoulder being damaged, and also chronic pain and nerve injury. Deprivation multiplied the suffering. Kanged prisoners often could not feed themselves properly. They relied on passers-by, family or wardens for food and water. That dependence was a deliberate part of the punishment. It heightened humiliation and made survival precarious. Being chained in a public place exposed the wearer to weather, heat, rain and cold, and to insects and vermin. Without proper medical care, infections created life-threatening complications. In many recorded cases, death resulted not from a single blow, but from the slow accumulation of exhaustion, dehydration, infection, and exposure. Authorities and torturers could intensify the punishment in several predictable ways. They might add weight to the collar, increasing the physical strain. They could chain the Kanged person in a fixed posture for days, forcing them to stand for long periods or to sleep upright. Beatings and other physical punishments were sometimes administered while the person was Kanged, increasing the pain and the risk of injury. On a psychological level, public display was key. The Kanged person had their face and posture exposed to ridicule, insult, and sometimes assault. The signboard aspect, having one's crime literally displayed, transformed a private transgression into a communal spectacle. The Kang was used for a wide range of offences. In practice, it punished petty crimes, moral lapses, debt and social transgressions, as well as criminal acts. Minor thieves, beggars, debtors and persons accused of immorality could find themselves Kanged in marketplaces or outside government offices. In many societies, a punishment could be applied quickly by local officials, making it a favoured instrument for social control. Its visible public nature made it an effective deterrent. Every passerby who saw a Kanged criminal was also reminded of the consequences of misbehaving. Because the Kang combined humiliation with pain, it also served instrumental purposes. Authorities sometimes used it to coerce confessions or to enforce compliance. A person who wished to be released or spared further punishment could be pressured by the shame and suffering to reveal accomplices, return stolen goods, or pledge good behaviour. In that sense, the Kang was more than corporal punishment. It was a tool of interrogation and social coercion. There were also gendered and social dimensions. Women placed in Kangs faced particular hazards. Public exposure could threaten their social standing and that of their families, and they were also sometimes subject to sexual aggression whilst forcibly displayed. Family members who brought food or water risked contagion, social stigma, or even collective punishment. In short, the Kang's effects radiated beyond the individual to families and whole communities. Resistance and survival were partial options. Some Kanged people attempted to protect their necks with cloth, to rig feeding implements, or to solicit sympathetic crowds. Occasionally, friends or patrons could intercede and purchase release by paying fines or bribes. But for many, the Kang's combination of immobilization, exposure, and dependence made survival a matter of luck, and also depending on the charity of strangers. Over time, the Kang became a symbol of older penal practices, a visible relic of a system that relied on shame as much as on formal justice. In the modern era, as legal systems professionalized and ideas about punishment shifted towards incarceration and away from public corporal punishment, the Kang declined and was outlawed in many places. Yet its image still endures in literature, folklore, and historical accounts as a vivid example of how societies have used the body as an instrument of both justice and also public spectacle. To understand the Kang is to see punishment as more than the infliction of pain. It is a social act designed to mark, instruct, and terrify a community as much as to discipline an individual. Its cruelty was not exotic, so much as efficient, a simple piece of wood that turned a person into a public lesson. That is why the Kang remains a striking, if unsettling, chapter in the history of punishment, compact in design, wide in its consequences, and telling about how human societies have sometimes chosen to enforce order by making an example of the human body. Thanks for watching. To support our channel, please make sure to subscribe, and once again, thank you so much for watching.